The following is a production of the Dallas Genealogical Society. For more information, please visit our website at dallasgenealogy.com.
There. Okay, it's recording. Now we'll share.
So,
Everybody needs to mute.
okay, so Teresa, this is Ann Dairyman. When I click on record, it says I need your permission.
Yeah, I'm recording it. I got it figured out. So
Okay.
it's now being recorded, and everybody needs to be on mute and turn your video off. Now, do you see my screen? No.
Yes,
Do you see the RootsMagic screen?
RootsMagic is up.
Okay, thank you. Normally it has a green line around it and it doesn't, so I don't know what it's doing. Okay, today I'm going to start a whole new tree and show you how I do data entry and research and everything using RootsMagic. There are two ways to start a new tree. Well, one is to go through File and just start a new tree. You want to give it the name that you want it to have when you get through, and you want to tell it where you want it to go. My default is not where I want it to go because I'm trying to save all this stuff in my DGS stuff. And while I'm in this window, you will notice I've already set up a file folder for Lester Media. There is nothing in that file folder yet. The database will show up under here once I create it. And after I tell it where I want it to go, and I am going to kind of do it by typing in my information. I want my surnames in uppercase, and I want to enable web hints. I'm going to click OK, and it basically shows me a blank tree. Now, it always starts out in a pedigree view. If you don't want it to do that, after you get it started, you go to Tools, File Options, tell it you want it to open in Family View, if that's the view you prefer, which is mine. That's like the family group sheet. And I don't want to always do it from the root person. I want it to open in the last person I was working on when I closed the file, so I don't lose my place. I don't want any LDS support. And again, display names in uppercase. There's other things that you can set in this, but these are the main ones. So either you can click there and enter the name and information, or if you want to, if you're picking an ancestor or a surname that is already in your tree that you want to work on, you can take what you already know, and like we're going to work on this lady right here. I have virtually nothing on her. She was one of Mitch's aunts by marriage. I am going to drop her and drag her over here. It will ask me if I want just her, if I want the ancestors, her and their descendants, and all this information. I just want her for this particular session. So it copied one person, and I click OK. Now, if I had selected her children too, it would have taken all their data. Any photos that I had are still linked to them. But remember, in RootsMagic, they are linked and they don't move. They are linked to wherever you have them on your computer. So now I'm going to make this big, and we're going to work from her in the family view. I do have, if I can find my paper, her birth date and information. So I'm going to add her birth. And fortunately, she was born in Texas, and she was born before 1940. So I'm going to start with the 1940 census. Well, actually, I'm going to work with whatever shows up first. Let's save that. Yes, change. And I think the light bulb shows up. I always work the light bulb first because you never know what you're going to find. And even though I have my heritage, I don't use it until I have exhausted everything else because it is harder to use and they don't always have good information. A lot of the times it will just hit the trees and it won't hit any other data. In this case, there are 3 different things out there. There's a Find a Grave index. So I click and open it, and I'm going to have to bring this over here so you can see it. And then I'm going to open the Texas Birth Index right next to it and the 1940 census. So this is going to get me a lot of things straight from Family Search that I'm not having to go anywhere else to look for. I'm going to start with her birth record. It has her birth date that I've typed in. She was born in Harris County, and it gives me the names of her parents. That's one of the luxuries of having Texas birth index. And while I'm here, I'm going to copy this collection. Oops, come on. Collection name, if it will let me do it. Oh, well, I can add the 7. Come over here. Close that. And on her birth date, I'm going to change this now to I'm going to put Harris in front of it. And if you click V, it will check the place for you and you can correct it at that point. And I'm going to source this. I have no sources at all in this, so I'm going to add a new source. I always do freeform, and there's a reason I do that except for books. The reason I always use freeform is because if you transfer this to another program and you are using templates, the templates don't exchange the information very well between different programs. But if you use freeform, you're good. You can do it anywhere. So I put this in there and here and here. And I'm not actually going to put it in a repository because this index is available in several places. And people need to realize that it's available in different places, need to know that. And I put her name in here because that's the name that's on the record. And I think when I click OK, it's going to ask me to give it a name, and I paste it in there too. Click OK, and that's what shows up. Now, while this is here, I'm going to memorize it. That memorizes that whole source. And I'm going to paste it on her name. Now, you can either do source, P, and there it is, or you can do Alt S, C, and P. Well, no, it's just, sorry, Alt S and then Alt P and then Alt O. Alt is the Alt key is how you move through those things really keystroke wise. And I don't know if you can see this, but there's a little line under note, and it will tell you Alt N. If I hover over this one just right, it will say Alt S because there it goes, because that's the little letter that's underlined. And so now we're going to add her mom and dad. And this is much easier to do if you have multiple screens, because you can look at one and the other. Marcus Eugene. So her dad, I'm going to add a new person. And his surname is automatically populated because that's her last name. I'm going to click OK. And this window is going to open. And I can do the Alt SP. Come on, it's supposed to, oh, I'm hitting the wrong button, no wonder. Alt S P O, and that sources him. And now her mom, Noreen Estelle. New person. I'm going to do Alt-O. That's okay to close that window, and this window will open. And now Alt-SP, paste her in O. So that name is sourced. And that's how easy that part is to do. If you have a big monitor, which I don't, you can make this window smaller, you know, so you have two windows side by side. So like here is the census record. But I find that it's cumbersome to do that unless you close, sometimes if you close this, because you don't really have enough room to work sometimes if you don't do that. And I misspelled that word. Oops, I deleted it. And to hit enter. There we go. And Alt-O always closes everything. All right, this is the 1940 census. And this is one I kind of wanted to show everybody how to do this because people get, I think this is where everybody has trouble with questions and how to do this. I'm going to view the image. And some of the images now in Family Search will highlight and tell you kind of where they are on the page, like Ancestry does, but this one, they don't do it on all of them. So I'm trying to see it on here. There they are right here. But I'm going to download this image and I'm going to have to navigate. This is my father-in-law's pictures that I was working on. I'm going to navigate to that file that I set up beforehand in before the lecture. And here's the folder. Now, once this folder is selected, everything I do until I change it will go to this folder. So this is going to be Marcus, Eugene, Lester, 1940, oops, I put family because it's more than one, 1940 census, and I forgot. And they were in Lake Charles, however you say that. It's not letting me leave it down there. Well, wait a minute. You know, there are some names I just cannot remember how to spell. And this is Louisiana, oh, Parish.
Calcasieu.
Calcasieu?
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, but spelling it, it's like, you know, when I get into the Indian names up in New York and other places, it's like, forget it. I can never remember how to spell them. Anyway, I put everything I need to know about this image because it doesn't matter how much you put in there. And then you always know what that image is. I'm going to click save and it downloads down here. Now I can open it or I can show it in my folder. And of course my folder opens in another screen, but anyway, here it is. It's there. Oh, and the reason you see this little circle thing, all my stuff is in the cloud in OneDrive. So as soon as I put something up, it's copying it. So I don't lose anything. All right, so now I'm going to enter this census record in my family tree maker. He's the head of household, so I'm actually going to enter the residence on him. 1940 in Lake Charles. This database does have a place authority, so it will double check your state, counties, and the state information. So you know that that part is correct. And if the county hadn't been started yet, it will tell you that it was not in existence on that date, which I think is a nice feature because you don't always have that information. Now for sources, and like I said, you can, let me scoot this over. You can click save and it will make sure that that information is right. Now we go to sources. I have no sources yet, so I'm going to add a new source, freeform it. And this is the 1940 United States Census. And I'm going to put that on each line. And the reason I'm not, and I'm here again, I am not going to put a repository because these records are available on Ancestry, Family Search, My Heritage, I think Find My Past. You can find these records in a lot of places, so don't limit yourself to just one search. If you cannot find it on one, go try the name in another because they aren't using the same indexes. So what you can find on one, you may not be able to find on the other. And down here, I'm going to put his name, Marcus, as it is on the record. So it's Marcus E. Lester, including if it's misspelled. You do it the way they have it in the index on the page number part. And then I'm going to put Lake Charles, Calcasieu. And see, now I can't spell it. Is that right? Yeah. And now the thing that a lot of people get confused. I'm going to click on media, add new media from my hard drive. And here again, it took me to the last place I was. So I'm going to pack up a ways to get to lectures. But once this is selected, it will stay that way until I change it. And I want to do this image and click on open. And there it is. And so in the caption, I'm going to put Marcus Eugene Lester 1940 census, because that's what will show up as its caption under the media. And while I'm here, I'm going to show you, you can expand, make this media bigger or smaller. I keep it about that size so when I get multiple images, I can look at them easier. But you can make them bigger if you want to, if you need to. I'm going to click OK. Oh, I have to give it a new master source name, 1940 census. And I'm going to memorize this right here. But if you want to know what this says, you double click on it and you see that the media is there. And this is where you attach any media that is a document, unless you don't have a source you can link it to, but I can't imagine that too many situations. Let's get this over. Close. So while I have that, I'm going to put it on his name. Let me shrink this one here. And I'm going to add his birth year. Let me shrink this too so I can see birth. And I have to come over here. This abstracts and gives you the year and everything, which is kind of nice, and where he was born. So 1909 in Texas. And I'm going to source it the same way. and close his window. So that's him. Noreen is on it. So I'm going to source her name. And I'm going to add her birth year. 1917. And she was born in Louisiana. And I'm going to paste the census record. And then I'm going to call her Jean because we called her Jean. And her birth year is there. And then they have down here Aunt. But I don't know who she is because she was married and is widowed. So I can't really add her until I know more about the family dynamics. But I'm going to go back to him on the 1940 census. Let me see if I can do this and it will hold. There we go. I can share this fact with multiple people. So I can share it with his wife and his daughter. And they're not witnesses. So you click edit and add it. The first time you do this, you add a new role type, and I do household member. And I don't know how to do a source template for that, a sentence template for this, but I do this household member because that is everybody except for the head of household. And this works for all sorts of records where you have a residence, like a tax roll or something. If they have a lot of people on it and you do a new heading. So anyway, that's okay. And after you do that, if you go look at her, the 1940 census is there with him saying that it's on him as the original one, and you'll know who the head of household is. So like if he had died and she was the head of household, her name would be in that spot instead of his. Okay, that's this record. We did that one, and we did that one, and we did that one. Now, find a grave. I don't know why they only put Jean here when the whole name is over here. Anyway, you go to, if I didn't get my mouse all the way back together. If you click here, it will take you into a new window and it opens her page in Find a Grave. And I don't know why it pulled only the nickname. Well, her middle name. But it has her death date and where she is buried or not buried. And that's weird because I thought she was buried. I'll have to ask her daughter. Anyway, but you have a new death date. And I don't know if her death date will be in any records right now. I don't think she's been gone long enough. I do know she died in San Antonio. I mean, we knew when she died. I could put this as personal, NTO. I could put that it was personal information. It's just, I don't know that there is any like Social Security death index or anything like that that covers 2017 yet, because I think they don't do it for 5 years. Anyway, I'm going to save that. And I'm going to go and click close. Now, if you do have a lot of stuff that's personal information or a family diary or the daughter told you or whatever, if they were alive at the time the incident occurred, I make a source that says family completed group sheet or something, so that names, and then I put the name of the person and the date so that you know who you got the information from. And that person is usually somebody that is in your database, usually. Okay, I'm going to open this back up. So now there's little light bulbs on the parents. Now, in this case, it's just the Texas birth index, which is for her daughter, and his is not. He has a Texas death certificate because he died in Texas. And so you can add additional information from the death certificate. Normally, I work a line where if they were born before 1940, I start with that census and work my way back. But first, I get everything that's the easy, low-hanging fruit. And then because RootsMagic does give you the light bulbs, use them first. So I'm going to open that window. Oh, let me close my email. Oh, I can't. I needed Jean's email. I'm going to save this one. And this is Marcus Eugene Lester death certificate. And I always go back to this because this is easier to read sometime than the death certificate. Now, there's additional information that I will get off the death certificate when I get ready to do that. You know, I didn't look at that birth index. Oops, but I think this is Jean's. Yeah, he didn't have one. Go here. So I'm going to go back and shrink my window so I can get the information off of here. So I'm going to add a new source. So A freeform. And all I'm going to put is death certificate. This is much easier than trying to give a source for each and every entity of a vital record. I'm not going to put a repository because they come from lots of different places. This particular one can come from Ancestry. I think they have them in some other places besides those Family Search and Ancestry. Or you can get it from the health department itself. So, you know, you have all those places to get it. And I put down in the page number area, Marcus, the name as it is on the death certificate. And then I'm going to put that this is Texas in 1946. And then I'm going to put the certificate number. And I think it's this 45933. Let me see if that's right. Yeah. Ancestry is not consistent, nor is Family Search about putting the record number in it being right. So you do want to double check that. And then I'm going to do Alt-M, Alt-A, and D. And I'm going to add this death certificate. Click on open, and then I'm going to put his name here so it shows up as the caption. Except I can't spell.
Teresa,
Yeah.
Glenda Ray got kicked off and she's trying to get back in.
Okay, I see it.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm on 2 different screens for this stuff, so let me know if something goes awry. Anyway, so that is the death certificate. I'm going to memorize it and click close. His birth date is in there, and I'm going to do the, it's Alt SPO, and I'm going to add his death, so Alt A, and then just, instead of scrolling, you can just hit the D, and it will take you to the Ds, and you can click enter, and the death gets entered, and oh, the birthday was there, 4 October 1946, and he died in Houston. And SPO sources it, and I'm going to come up here and fix that. 23 October 1906. I remember her telling us that he died young, and he did. He would have only been 40 years old. And I think his death certificate did not tell me where he was born, I don't think. Oh, yeah, it did too. Where'd it go? Well, I thought it did. Humboldt, Texas, and that's in Harris County. Oops, I can't spell Humboldt. Oh, L-E. Now you have to know that this information is given by somebody that may not have known all the information. That it was actually given by his wife. I don't know that that is correct. But it does say he died of congestive heart failure. He was not quite 40 years old. So they lost him really early. His father and mother are named here. So I can add them as father and mother. And I'm going to click on this, add new person, Clarence. And because his name is on there, I'm going to use the death certificate as the source for his name. Note that when you do this, you're linking the generations. This is his mom. And she is linked too. Now that this record, they didn't say where his dad was born. His mother was born in Texas. It does give the cemetery where he was buried, but I'm not going to put that on there at this time. But if you do put all this information, and also put, there is a thing that you can do, cause of death. If you're tracking for DNA purposes what people died of, there is in RootsMagic a fact for cause of death. Well, I thought there was. Oh, maybe it's under death. No, I don't know. I thought there was, but you can make any fact you want to do. You can add facts. So don't make an assumption that this is it, because it's not. You can add facts. Okay, cancel. And close that. All right, that's his death certificate. Now comes the different part. That's exhausting your little light bulbs. Well, no, it's not. Here's Clarence. He's got all these different things that are linked. So I'm going to open each one at a time. If they are not, when we did the on Gene, all of these that are individually done like this, you have to open them one at a time. The one that was on Gene, that was, oops, wrong thing. When you open it, and it's like this, and it has a little question mark. All the ones with question mark will be on one page. So don't open them all individually. Because I have found as many as 30 things up there, and I have made the mistake of opening all those windows and I didn't need to. So we're going to come to, I'm going to click to his group sheet and get over to the information here. This is his Social Security information. And I'm going to go on and enter that because I may not be able to get to other things in other places. So I'm going to add birth, 13 January 1879. I'm going to skip that part because I don't know it. Click Alt A and Alt D. Oops, can't do that. D for death, and then put in March 65. You cannot use any places off of Social Security Death Index because you don't really know where they are, but that gives you a good ballpark. And I'm going to add a new source, freeform, and this is the United States Death Index. And here again, this index is available in a lot of different places. I don't see any point until I'm giving it a repository. Okay. Oops. Why didn't it do that? Okay. Memorize it. Stick it on the birth date. One more. Oh, I hit the wrong thing. And his name. Oh, wait, that didn't hit the right thing. I didn't copy it. Oh, yes, it did. Okay. So I'm done with that one. I'm going to close this window so I don't get myself confused. Now, this is from 1900. It says he was in Indiana. This is the Florida Death Index. This event place you can use. He died in Palm Beach, Florida. Oops. I don't know what county that's in, but I will look it up later. And I don't really have any additional information on him, except his middle name was Eugene. And this is the Florida Death Index. I'm going to copy that. Back over here. I'm going to do source, add a new source, freeform, this here, and here again, this one's available in more than one place. You put the name down here of what it is in the index. Okay, oops. Memorize it and come down here and put it on the death date too. So that's that one. I'm going to wait on these census records because I'm still trying to figure out. That's his son's death certificate, which we already have. Now here he is with his family. It's 1900. That's the one I didn't know. Here's his marriage record. And this is browse the film. Don't be afraid. It does take time, but go on and open it in a new link. Because if you click on it right here, it will open over this. And you want this information available to you. I'm going to go on and enter his marriage to Margaret here. So I have it in the database already to go. So I'm going to come back over here and look at this. Oh, they really weren't kidding. Volume 1, it only says when it starts. But it does look like it's got an index. Well, it's volume N. Oh, that's women. No, they've got it all together. Sometimes these indexes you do have to pay attention to. One side will be male, one side will be the female with this, with the same letter of the last name. That's not the case this time. Okay, so he's got to be, if they go that far. Well, I don't think they go that. I'm already going to make a decision. When you see the number image something of 661, there can be 2 to 3 record books on this one set of records. Yeah, so here's this one. Starting in 1906. So I doubt he's in this one too, but I'm going to scroll toward the bottom of this and click on an image and see if I can get to 1907, which I am. 15 October. So he's probably on this one, so I'm going to go look and see if I can find him in the index. Let me guess this. Mars. Okay. L. This is just like looking at a book when you go to the courthouse. You have to be patient and hope you don't miss it when you look for it. Well, I don't see it. So maybe it is in the next one. This number, I think there's 3. Yep, there are. Yep, May. Okay, else. This one. There it is, 203. That's 3. Now my screen holds 10 images across. So I know I can count to 10 and be pretty close to 3. There it is. And there, don't forget there's multiple records on one page. Don't look at the first name because there it is right there, the middle one. And I'm going to download this. And my thing for doing marriage records is the last name of the groom. And then the word and then the last name of the wife. The only way this doesn't work is if you have brothers and sisters marrying each other. And then you have to figure out which one you're going to put the first name on so that you know which one it is. So you name them differently. So let's say that. I'm going to come over here, and on the marriage record, I'm going to add a new source. Now, this is one of those new sources that will encompass a lot of stuff. I'm going to freeform it. But it's court record, or county court records. And the reason I make a differential and put county in there is because you have state and you have federal court records, and you want to be able to differentiate among them. And in this caveat, I end up putting virtually everything. So this is Harris County, anything that you get at a courthouse or could get at a courthouse. This is the top where I put it. So you only have one source instead of a bunch of different sources to weed through.
Teresa, did you notice that her last name was spelled differently on this?
Yeah, and that's got to be a mistake because it's McCombs, MC. So the clerk, you know, they probably heard it. You know, a lot of Macs are MAC, and the clerk probably heard it McComb because that's the way you'd say it. And I don't see that they signed this. So, you know, there was no way to get it corrected. Because she didn't sign it. He did. Oh, and instead of EUG, it's just UG. Look at his name. It's E up here and here. No, down here it's a U. They didn't put the E in front of it. So even his name was spelled differently. That's funny. That doesn't happen very often. Except Mitch has one grandmother in that marriage record. Every place her last name was written, it was spelled differently. And she signed it, so that's the spelling I used. I am going to put this way in this record here because I always do the spelling of what's on the physical record. And I'm going to add the marriage record. Now, this courthouse records includes deeds, wills, probate, anything you can think of, oaths of allegiance, all follow under this category. I don't do tax records because tax records are totally different. But anyway, so I'm going to close that. And marriage by nature is a shared fact. So I'm going to put the source on him. Oops, I'm hitting the wrong thing. Oops, I didn't copy it. Yes. Close you. I didn't memorize it. You want to put it on his name? And then, of course, her name. Because that's the marriage record. And I can delete that one too. And we're almost to 2:30, so I'm going to leave the next few minutes. I'm going to get out of share mode and open it back up and let everybody unmute and video and everything. So if you have any questions, you can ask them at that time. So I have to figure out where this is. Okay, stop share. There we go. And I'm going to okay, so does anybody have any questions? Unmute yourselves and ask. I'm sure it's because we will, when we meet next, we'll pick up here and go on. Now, know that genealogy is very repetitive. And I think that date had to be wrong on that record because I thought it should be 8. I think they misread that date on his death certificate. Well, that is 6, but it had to be 8. That happens all the time. You get misinformation on records. So anyway, all right. Does anybody have any questions? Okay. How do y'all feel about meeting more often than quarterly? Since if we meet at Zoom like this, we could meet more often. So send me an email, let me know your thoughts. I'll take a survey kind of. Somehow I think I can do a survey, but I don't know how to do it. I will have to ask people. Okay, so I'm going to
Reset.
Yeah.
You can do a poll.
Yeah. How do I do that?
Okay, so it should say at the bottom of your screen. I don't see it on mine, but it should say at the bottom of your screen poll. Create a poll.
Oh, I see it. I'm going to stop.
This has been a production of the Dallas Genealogical Society. If you're already a member, thank you. If you're not a member, please consider joining now by going to dallasgenealogy.com and clicking on the membership tab. Your membership dues will help us support the genealogy section of the Dallas Public Library, and it will allow us to continue our education and preservation efforts.